Goedemorgen, good morning, dumela, buongiorno, come sta? Today I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas decoration. This project is another chain stitch only project, but unlike the bracelet, it has a lot less sewing to it. In fact, it has no sewing at all. What you will need is some yarn. I'm using double knit. For this will be my main color, which is Chic brand color 022 Emerald. But for one of the other parts, I am also using a charity skein color 756 Moss. And then I'm using this leftover bit I have. It comes from my DK weight bag. So I have absolutely no idea which brand it was or which color number it was, but it's green. And then lastly, you will need a little bit of red. The red is also a Chic DK, color 169, cherry red. Any red will do, as long as it feels Christmassy. You will also need a 4mm crochet hook, as well as a 4.5mm and a 5mm crochet hook. If you don't have the others and you only have a 4mm, then I will tell you how to get around that. It's still possible to make it. Then you will need something with which to snip or cut your yarn. You do not need any kind of yarn needle, but you also need some stitch markers. You can also use actual safety pins. And if you don't have stitch markers, I will show you how to just use end bits of a different colored yarn to mark your place. You don't have to have the stitch markers, but whatever you're using, you'll need quite a lot of it. Now, let's get this project started. Start off with a 4mm crochet hook and the green yarn. If you're using more than one color, this will be the main color that you're using. Make a slip knot, hook in, tighten, grab the yarn, and if you don't know how to do any of these things, I have a video for you. Make a chain stitch. Yarn around the hook, pull the yarn through the loop on the hook. Yarn around the hook, pull the hook and the yarn with it through the loop on the hook. For this project, you will be making a lot of chain stitches. It is very much adjustable depending on the length you want the decoration to be. The window I was aiming for will need approximately a 2-meter long wreath, and that means I will need to make 25 times 18. I said a lot. You don't need to count them one by one though, because it's going to be very tedious and you will have to recount them later in anyway. So my suggestion is just to keep on chaining and chaining and chaining and chaining. And we'll keep going. I'll join you in a little bit when I have, see, this is what I have at the moment. Not enough to start counting yet. I'll do a bit more and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I have no idea how many chains there are. Definitely not the 450 that I need as yet, but I want to show you how to get counting. So because I need 18 lengths, and the last one that doesn't need a stitch marker because we'll, cut off the yarn, it means I will need 17 stitch markers. So to make it easier for me, so I don't have to recount that as well over and over and over again, I'm going to take out 17 stitch markers, 17. So now I know when I've used up all the stitch markers, then I have enough chains. So find the start of this. And now it's time to count chain stitches. And if you don't know how to do that, I also show you how to do that in the video where I show you how to make a chain stitch. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So this one here will be the 25th. Stitch marker into number 25. Then we count again. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. This one here is 25. If you don't have stitch markers, simply take a short piece of a different color yarn, and only different color to make it easier for you to see. And in this 25th chain, the one where your stitch marker would go, put the hook through and pull through your piece of different colored yarn. You can leave it like that if you don't plan to move around your work a lot, or if you want to make double sure, you can tie a little knot. Not too tight, because you want to be able to take it off again later if you don't have the stitch markers. Okay, since I already counted out my stitch markers and I do not want to confuse myself, I'll just keep using a stitch marker. Okay, so we have 1, 2 pieces of 25. Let me count the rest and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so we have this little bit left and still 5 stitch markers to go. So I need another 100 and a bit chain stitches and keep on chaining. Chain stitch, chain stitch, chain stitch, chain stitch, chain stitch, which in Afrikaans is called a kettingsteek, by the way, which means exactly the same thing. Chain is a ketting. And since the chain stitch look like a chain, it also looks like a chain in Afrikaans, hence kettingsteek. See you back in a bit again. I'm back. As you can see, I've used up all the stitch markers already, which means I should already have 18 sections of 25 chain. And let's count the last section. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, no 15, 18, 21, 24, 25, and then we end off by adding 2 more chains. Cut the yarn, pull out the hook, pinch these last 2 chains and pull tight. It will make a very tight knot at the end of the work. And then we do exactly the same thing with the next yarn. 17 stitch markers. I'm using a different color yarn this time, the leftover bits and pieces, and again a 4mm crochet hook. Leaving a yarn tail, which we will use at the end. Tighten the slip knot, grab your yarn and start making chain stitches. At this point I should probably mention that if you don't want to make this for Christmas, you can always just use a specific color scheme. Maybe for a room that you want to decorate, or maybe for a party. And also you do not have to use double knit yarn. I use it because it is the most common and most popular, and therefore most affordable and the greatest variety of colors in South Africa. If you use a different yarn weight, then just use the corresponding hook size as recommended on the label, and bear in mind that you will probably need to have 2 more hook sizes, each one bigger. So if your recommended hook size is a 6mm, then you'll also need a 6.5 and a 7, if you can. If you don't want to, that's fine. You'll just need to make more chain stitches then. And if that which I have just said doesn't make sense, we'll see in a while. Maybe I should stop here and tell you that this time you will not be counting to 25, but this time every section will have 30 chain stitches. So we will be counting, maybe harder to see the chain stitches on this one. So we'll be counting to 30. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. And then at 30, put in the stitch marker. So this time, instead of having 18 sections of 25, we'll be having 24, 27, 30. This time we will have 18 sections of 30 stitches each. So get going and practice those chain stitches. I'll be back in a bit, and just before I go, I realize I never mentioned that this is a 100% acrylic wool. Both the chick and the charity that I'm using is 100% acrylic. 300 and something chain stitches to go, and then I'll be back. I'm done with all 18 pieces of 30 chains each on the second string, ending off. So time to put those aside, get back to the original wool, still using the 4mm crochet hook. Let's get back to color A, leaving a longer yarn end, make the slip knots. Nope, wrong side. And start chaining. This time we will make 18 sections again, but can you guess it? It was 25 stitches per section, and then it was 30 stitches per section. So this time, yes, you're right, it is 35 stitches per section. Yes. So keep on chaining. Oh, I didn't get my stitch markers out. Silly me. I'm out of the other ones, so it's now time for this. Time to pack out my stitch markers. Make chain stitches. And count off sections of 35 chains. Put a stitch marker in them. And I'll see you when I'm at the end of this one. I think I'm done with the third one. Let me just check. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 34, 35. Oops, that was a bit too far. So leaving 2 more chains for the ending off, a length of yarn, snip, pull out, and pinch and pull. Okay, that means, let me just remember which one is which one. Yeah, 18 sections of 25 chains each. Then we have 18 sections of 30 chains each, and 18 sections of 35 chains each. All of these made with a 4mm hook. Next up, we're going to do a little bit of cheating. Instead of increasing the number of chains for the next section, we're going to increase the hook size, which will make the chains slightly bigger, so we can keep on going at 35 chains per section, and then we don't have to make even more chains. We're done with a 4mm crochet hook. If you don't have a 4.5mm crochet hook, then you can still use the 4mm and instead make longer sections of chain, increasing from 35 to 40. If you do have a slightly larger hook, you can use that hook and keep chaining again, this time making 18 sections of 35 chains again each, because we have the larger hook, or if you're using the same size hook, then 18 sections of 40 chains each. That should give you good practice at crocheting. So I just got started. I've got a great many chains to go. Let me just put all these out of the way. You may have noticed that I'm also using a different color. This time I'm using this one here, but you don't have to. You can keep on using the same yarn for all of them. I'll do the, what is 18 times 35? Many. I'll do the many chains and be back when I'm done, or close to the end, or somewhere thereabouts. We'll see. I'm done with the fourth string of chain stitches, so it's time to end off, and we end off by adding 2 more chains, cut the yarn, pull out the needle and the yarn with it. Did I say needle? I mean hook. Sorry, bad English day. Every day is a bad English day, never mind. Pinch and pull tight. Okay, now it's time for the 5th and final string of chain stitches. This is the final one for me. If you wanted more, of course you can do more. So once again, I will not be changing the number of chain stitches I do per section, but rather I'm going to increase the hook size and go up to a number 5. As I've mentioned before, if you do not have different hook sizes, you can keep at the same hook and just increase the number of chains you do per section, as we did in the first few. You do not have to change hook sizes. It's just faster for lazy people. So with a 5mm crochet hook and the main color of yarn, we start chaining again. So I will make a bunch of these, and when I'm done, I'll be back with you. You can hopefully see clearly here that the chain stitches with the smaller hook size and the larger hook size actually makes the stitch bigger. You cannot go too big, because then the stitches will start looking just bad. They'll be too big and too full of holes and not nice anymore. But you can change the hook size a little bit to create a different size of finished project with the same yarn. Okay, I'll be making my chains with this one and meet you at the end of it with the last string of chain stitches using the 5mm hook. Now I can put all the greens away, and we have, oh my goodness, what a mess. we have 5 different sections of increasing length. See, 4 mil, 4 mil, 4 mil, 4.5 mil and 5 mil, 25 chains per section, 30 chains, 35, 35, 35, because I'm using the bigger hook sizes. So the bigger hook size, the same amount of stitches, will give a longer length. Okay, so now it is time to put this away here for a while. Get back to the 4mm crochet hook and the red yarn. We are going to make short sections of chain stitches to tie around the green to use as bows. You will need 17 red chains of 50 chain stitches each. Okay, now it's time to assemble all of this. Okay, so these are 25 chains, these are 30 chains, 4 mil, 25 chains each, 4 mil, 30 chains each, 4 millimeters, 35 chains each, 4.5 millimeter hook, still 35 chains each, and then the last one is the 5 mil crochet hook, also 35 chains. So what we're going to do now is grab a crochet hook. Actually what we're going to do now is completely reverse this order. The shortest one at the top, the longest one at the bottom, which means we also need to change around those two. And try again. Run your hook through there where the stitch marker was, and then through the next one, and then through the third longest one, then through the fourth longest one. I suppose I could remove them all at the end, but and then there. So there we have all of these on the hook. Then we'll take one of these and drag them through all of those. The reason I'm doing this is I am just trying to make sure they do not slip. We could probably only tie it around, but I'm worried that when this goes into storage between Christmas years, the bow will completely slip from where it was and not look good anymore. Okay, so we now have, I so hope this was visible and that I wasn't working completely out of camera shot. So what we have now is the red chain running through all of these. So we're going to wrap it around once, tie a knot, to keep them together, and then I'm not really good at making bows, so if you have a better method, please do it whichever way you like, but this is the only way that I can do it, so sorry. My mom tried really hard to make me do it in some complicated girly way where you wrap the thing around your fingers and then pull one thread somewhere and it stops. Mine doesn't work. So there we have a tiny little bow. I am going to snip off these ends. Yeah, there's the knot just like 1 centimeter That's like 3/8 of an inch approximately. Put them to one side, and there's the first bow. Then we will do this again for 1 or 2 more of them, and then hopefully it will be possible to see the effect. Back in a bit. I found it was easier to first pull all the red strings through the green ones, tie them off in the sections, and then I'll tie all the knots and bows at the end. Is the beginning, which we'll get to now, and then red bows separating these hanging bits. Okay, now these bits at the end, we're going to try to get them in the right sequence again. Top, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we're just going to keep all these bits together and tie them into an overhand knot. If you don't know how to make an overhand knot, guess what? I have a video for that. Check the description to find the link. Tying them all together is a bit more of a challenge than tying a single strand, and then try to make the knot right there, like ease it over until it is right there where all the knots began. There we go. A little bit of Christmas red and green.